Welcome to Chris Cook for You Too. I remember a couple of days ago I made a French bread chicken sandwich. And I remember saying, don't throw away the old bread because we're going to use it. And you know I'm a stickler for using everything. I don't believe in throwing out anything because I'm an old school cook. And old school cooks can take anything and make a meal. So today I'm going to be doing bread pudding. I hope you save that bread because that's what we're going to use. Now let's get started with the ingredients that you're going to need. I had French bread. So I'm going to be using the French bread. And if you remember, I just put it in a bag. I put it in my freezer and I said I'll use it at a later date. This is the later date. And all you want to do is just break up your French bread like I've broken this up. Now this is a little bit frozen, so it's going to have to thaw just a little bit more. Now if you don't have French bread, that's okay because you can use day-old bread. If you have day-old bread, go ahead and use it. French bread, go ahead and use it. Any kind of bread that you have sitting around that you want to use, especially your raisin bread. If you have some raisin bread with the cinnamon and the raisins in it, that would be perfect for this dish. Go ahead and use it. Now today I'm just going to use French bread because that's what I had left over. Now what you want to do is you want to take all of your French bread and you want to tear it apart as much as you possibly can. Then you want to saturate it with your milk. But before we put in our milk, we're going to go ahead and add our sugar. Here I have 2 cups of sugar. Now to the 2 cups of sugar, instead of just sprinkling my cinnamon and my nutmeg down, I'm going to add it to my sugar. Now this I'm going to add about a tablespoon full of cinnamon. And I'm going to do more cinnamon than I'm going to do nutmeg. With the nutmeg, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of nutmeg. That's all going to be needed for this. And I'm going to take and I'm going to stir this in to my sugar real good. Now to this recipe, and I should have repeated all of the ingredients that you're going to need. But you're going to need your sugar, your cinnamon, your nutmeg. You're going to need some butter, melted butter, 2 eggs, vanilla and lemon extract. You're going to need 2 cups of whipping cream and 2 cups of milk. That's all you're going to need. And of course the bread to make this delicious bread pudding. Now my mom used to make this back in the day, and I'm telling you, I really loved it. Now you can add to this, you can add raisins to it, or you can add pineapples. I'm going to reach right over, and I'm going to get some crushed pineapples, and I'm going to add the crushed pineapples to my tore up bread. Now remember, you can add anything to bread pudding you want. You can just eat it straight plain, or you can add the crushed pineapples to it with the juice, or you can add some raisins, you can add some nuts. You can just add whatever you want to add. Whatever you feel like you want to add that's going to make this oh so good, just go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my melted butter. And this is a stick of melted butter. I'm going to add that right down to my ingredients. I want to get all of my butter out. I told you I don't believe in throwing away nothing. Okay, once I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, as you can see, I've mixed up my cinnamon, my nutmeg, and my sugar. And I'm going to go ahead and add that down in. Now what am I doing? I want all of these ingredients to soak into my bread. Okay? So that's why I'm adding it right now. Okay? Now to that, I want to go ahead and add a tablespoon of vanilla. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of lemon. Now if you just want to use lemon, or you just want to use vanilla, or you want to do them both, you can go ahead and do it both. Now you don't see me using a measuring spoon. Why is that? Because I'm an old school cook. And most old school cooks, anybody that know an old school cook, they can tell you, they can do it by sight. They can eyeball it and it can still come out right. So now that I have all of that added in, I need my bread to break up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my whipping cream. If you don't have whipping cream, this is 2 cups of whipping cream. If you don't have whipping cream, just go ahead and add regular milk. That's fine. Half and half if you have it. Regular milk if you have it. Whatever it is that you have. Now I need, like I said, this to soak up into my bread. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my milk to that. Now, if you want to add some raisins or if you want to add some nuts, it's at this point that you will go ahead and add that. Now, the only thing that I have not put in here is my eggs that's sitting off to the side. And the reason I haven't is because this is going to sit out for a while. All of the ingredients that are in here, they can sit out. This is going to sit out for a while until my bread is all moistened up. And the only thing I had was 1 stick of French bread. I took some of the pieces out, but it equaled out to be 1 stick of French bread. And you know your French bread is long. This will be enough. So I'm going to let this sit aside until all of these ingredients kind of soften up my bread and get my bread ready for the oven. Okay? Now, depending on how much bread you have, that's how much actual milk or liquid ingredients that you're going to need. Now, it looks like that I will add maybe 1 more. It smells delicious. 1 more cup of milk. That's all I'm going to add is just 1 more cup of milk to this. I'm going to allow this to sit here for about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, just so it can get all soaked up into my bread, these ingredients. Once it do that, I'll come back, then I'll add the milk. I'll add the eggs. I'll put it in a baking dish, and we'll go ahead and bake it off. And you talking about delicious. If you haven't had bread pudding, it is truly delicious. If you have had bread pudding, you know you're in for a treat. If you want to add some whipped cream to this on the top, or if you want to go ahead and make a sauce and put on top of this, whatever you want to do, do it. I'm just doing plain bread pudding. I'll be right back. All right, now I'm back, and I'm going to go ahead and crack these 2 eggs. And what I did was I put a cap full of milk down over in the bowl that I'm going to mix the eggs up in. And the only reason why I did that is so I could help give me just a little bit more looseness when I get ready to stir these eggs up. And this is the fork that I just used in the bread pudding. That's why you see some residue from the bread pudding on the fork. So I'm going to go ahead and stir that up. And then I'm going to add it to the bread pudding. Okay, now that we beat that up, and you want to get it whereas the whites are not separated from the yolks. You want to make sure that you beat it until the whites and the yolks are well blended. And that only takes about a minute, just like if you're going to do scrambled eggs, same way. Okay. So now here is the bread pudding. And as you can see, you only got a minor amount of liquids. See, it's not a lot of liquids that you have in there. That's just the way that you want it. And do you see how all of your ingredients are now soggy? That's the way you want that. Okay, now you don't have to add any baking powder, anything to this, because baking powder was already cooked into your, or yeast, whatever rising agent they use, was already cooked into your bread, so you don't need that. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and add your egg mixture, and this is only 2 eggs. And then you want to just stir all of this in. Now, sitting down front, as you can see, I have a buttered, I just took a little bit of butter and I oiled up my baking pan. So you have a well oiled baking pan. Now you want to go ahead, once you mix up your eggs into your bread pudding, you want to go ahead and put your bread pudding over into your baking dish. Cook it at 375 for roughly 30 to 40 minutes. That's all you need. Okay? And when it browns around the edges, it's going to brown on top. I want to show you one other thing about this. You know that you have enough cinnamon and nutmeg when you can see a little bit of the granules mixed into the bread. Okay? If you can't see any granules mixed in with your bread, then go ahead and add a little bit more. Like I told you, old school cooks know that, because that's how they do a lot of the judging. So then you want to go ahead and put that into your baking dish. Okay, and this is roughly a 9 by 12 baking dish, and this is 1 loaf of bread. Really, might be just a little bit more, but not much more than that. So I'm going to spread this out in my dish. I'm going to put this into my oven and bake it off, and then I'll bring you back once it's all done. Now, I did taste it, and it tastes really, really delish. So that's the same way it should be when I get through. So I'll bring you back. I'm going to put it in the oven. When it's done, I'll bring you right back. Okay, now I'm back, and I just took it out of the oven, so I want you to take a look at it. Okay, it's really, really hot. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it anyway, because normally you just give it a little bit to settle. It'll just drop down just a little bit. That's going to be it. But I want to show you, and this is the way you want it. You don't want your bread pudding to be dry. That's not the way this is supposed to be. You want it to have some good flavor to it, which is exactly what it's going to have. There you have it. Chris is making bread pudding out of the leftover bread that she has, because this lady don't believe in throwing away nothing. Okay, what I am going to do when I post this, I'm going to post a great sauce that you can put at just to pour over the bread pudding if that's what you want to do. I don't do that. I normally just eat it because it's good enough to just eat it just as it is. Remember, you can always add some raisins. You can add pineapples. You can add anything you want to add. You can add some nuts. You can add anything, little bits of apples, anything that you want to add. You can add it to your bread pudding. But here, Chris is bringing you one more delicious recipe to put in your repertoire. And I think this is an old school recipe that you're truly going to enjoy. And as always, I want to tell you, thank you for watching Chris Cook For You Too, and look for my shirts that will be coming out shortly. I also have one that says you're living the blessed life, so that's going to be awesome as well. And as always, thank you for watching Chris Cook For You Too. Bye.